This is Matt for Boxing Social in association with William Hill and Empire Fight Store. Delighted to be joined by boxers Ben Shalom. Ben, first off, thanks for having us. We're here in Paris, here for a big show, sold out, 7,000 people, the heart of France. Something a bit different, you must be buzzing.
Yeah, no, it is different. It's exciting. The team are buzzing. Obviously, used to doing shows in all the same places. First one in Paris with All Star Boxing. We did do Albania in the summer, which was crazy with Florian in Tirana. But this is big for us because we're doing it with All Star. We're doing it with Canal Plus. Tony Yoka tops the bill, who out here is an absolute superstar. Yeah, and it's amazing to see. It shows like sometimes we live in bubbles. Like we're in our UK bubble. You come to France, they're in their bubble, and they see boxing very differently. And it's good to be able to show it back in the UK on Sky Sports as well.
I was just about to say, is this part of sort of boxers' next step? Obviously last year was a bit of an introduction. Look, this is what we're going to do, these are the big fights we're putting on. But promotional companies often talk about being global and spreading the wings. You've now stepped into French territory. Are you going to be looking to do this a bit more, go into these different parts of the world maybe that people don't necessarily associate with boxing and go, look, this is what we can do?
I think it more for us is less about saying boxer is global. It's more we want to have good relationships with the different promoters where we can. It's not always easy, as we've seen, but we know we can put on better fight nights and bigger fights and make fights easier if we have a very good working relationship with local promoters on the ground. And so this isn't just a boxer show, this is boxer and all-star boxing. Yeah. We've got one next month in another territory which is going to run very, very similar. So it's good because we can get more budget into shows, make more shows, make more fights, and obviously on Saturday night or tonight, it's from a UK fan point of view, it's exactly the same. You've got a big main event in Tony Yoka, Carlos Takam, which is a big main event for a fight night, and then you've got 3 fights from the UK. So it's the same for them. We're an hour ahead here, so it's a better fight night. You have a lot of people complaining about main event times and things like that. I think tonight's going to be unbelievable. It's sold out, 7,000. The atmosphere is going to be crazy. It's going to be very different to what we experience, and we've got our guys going into the lion's den, so to speak, and it's good fun. There'll be neutral judges on Dan Azeez's fight for the EBU, so we don't need to be too concerned about that. But it's going to be a big night.
Let's come on to Dan Azeez. He's someone who hasn't done it the easy way, gone through Southern area all the way to British and now potentially, touch wood, European. What do you make of Dan and his progression? I just spoke to Buddy McGirt and he's over the moon with his progression and how he's got on. Like we mentioned, done it the hard way. He's got a chance now to showcase his skills over here. Are you pleased with him, aren't you, so far?
Yeah, massively pleased with him. It's just it's similar to the Richard Riakporhe story in a way that when we got him, I remember when he first won the British title on our show over a year ago now, maybe, against Hosea Burton. Yeah. And that was a great performance. I think people saw that at that time. That shows how far he's come. At that time, that was a 50-50 fight, and people were saying perhaps Hosea would win that and be too big for Dan, and he just showed that he was. I think he arrived that night. He's, as you said, sort of done it the hard way and always steps up. He's the easiest fighter to work with that we have. He'll take any fight whenever, and but we want to develop him properly, and I think so far from Southern area to WBA number 2, which is where he is, Buatsi at number 1. It's a special journey. It's going to continue, but he loves these challenges, and he when you think it might never happen, it's different with the Olympians. They probably think, look, if I can just stay on track, I will headline shows and I'll be there. For a fighter, I think when you think maybe it won't happen during times of your career, for him to be on a show like this, chief support in front of 7,000 people, he's just so gassed, excited. This is just for him is so good for him. Like people thinking that want to talk about his fights and being, this is a tough fight for Dan. That's what he thrives off. He wants all the big fights. He wants all the big names. He thrives off it, and it's a joy to watch. To be honest, you can see it every time you see him. This is special for him. I think he can go so much further. And after the European title, there's only one title left, and what a story it's becoming, and I think he's going to have a massive year.
Yeah, one of my first ever interviews were with Dan behind closed doors back in COVID times, and you could see then the passion he had for this game and how determined he was to make sure that he gets there. You mentioned Olympians, obviously Lauren Price on this card. How sure are you that she's going to be world champion? She's had a great start so far.
She has, but it's been stop-start. She had an injury last year, so it feels like a new signing for us. But to come in straight away and take on Naomi Mans, four knockouts, so 6, 7, fought for the European title last time. You can tell that just seeing her on the way in and watching her fights, she's coming for a war, and she's got knockout power, which is rare in the women's sport. You know, this is a sign of intent from Lauren Price to say in the third fight I'm going to take on a fighter like this. Yeah. Incredible. I genuinely believe, yes, she's going to do everything that we hope and more. She was the most decorated amateur this country has ever seen. Yeah. Why can't she do more than any other fighter has done in the professional game? And Rob McCracken's here. He says it's phenomenal working with her, and very excited. But yeah, early days. This is a tough test for her tonight. It's exciting to see how it's going to be in Paris for her. But again, I can see she's enjoying it. She's loving it. She feels fit, and she's ready to go.
It was sort of a big statement of intent from you last year when you were looking at who the signings were going to be. I remember being in, I believe it was Newcastle, when they got unveiled, herself and Claressa. How pleased are you with the development and that you got the people that you want and you got them at the right time? Like you said, Lauren, look at her amateur pedigree. She's coming into this with Claressa as well. You must be over the moon in terms of the stars you managed to get at that point to see where they're going as well now.
Yeah, I think it's going to be it's Ben Whittaker's due to come back. Claressa also had an injury. Ben Whittaker due to come back in May. Yeah. It feels like new signings. They were signings that we really wanted last year. Yeah. Now we can actually start getting them regular work and build it. I think Caroline Dubois had a fantastic year last year because she was fit and she was active, and that's what we can do. Fought 5 times, and it's just gone from strength to strength. I want Lauren and Claressa and Ben to now follow in that suit, and they were a major thing for us getting those, getting the names from Tokyo, and we feel they're going to be superstars, and we feel they'll be headlining hopefully a couple of them this time next year.
Talk to me about Ben Whittaker just quickly. Sorry, on Sky Sports News the other day, seems in good form, his usual quirky self. When can we expect to see Ben back out? Have we got a rough time for him?
I'm thinking early May. We want to do a show in the Midlands because we Tyler Denny, Fraser Clark, Ben Whittaker. I know Florian Mark, who tells me that there's a huge Albanian support for him in Birmingham, and he wants to fight there. So we want to do a big Birmingham show. We think Midlands is a place for the future. Casey Benjamin's obviously there, but the future stars with Fraser and Ben. They could really do something there. So hopefully he'll be back out early May.
That already sounds like a good card. You mentioned Tyler Denny as well. What a run he's been on. Eliminator been ordered, I believe, for the British. A lot of people were saying, God, I feel a bit harsh for him. He keeps getting thrown in there with tough fight, and he's got one again. But what a story he's got. And if he managed to land a British title, that's what a success story that'd be. Yeah,
he'll be out. I think in 6 or 7 weeks. We actually already have a fight lined up for him that we'll announce next week. But it is a story. Tyler's a different one to the Dan Azeez one and the Richard Riapple one, because we've almost picked him up on the way from fighting Brad Ray for an English title, but he'd come off the back of the 2 River Wilson Bent fights. He's got losses on his record. He sort of was going nowhere. Then comes back, gets the English title, defends it now 3 times. Yeah. He's one of my favourite fighters because you know what you're getting every time. He's aggressive. He's on the front foot. He's now, I think, becoming a fan favourite as well. Yeah, and he jumps into fights every time. So yeah, excited to actually for him to be in the home corner now and to get the treatment that probably, again, he will have never ever. I mean, speak to Tyler, but I'm saying 3 years ago, if you told him he'd be on a run like this, I actually remember Tyler. On our second Ultimate Boxer show, it was an 8-man tournament, and he came, and he was a spare for the 8-man, so and we had to send him home, and it was awful because he couldn't even at that point in his career. He was trying to get in a tournament like that. For him now to be in this position, it's incredible, and he will not be used to. He will have not expected this, and he's one of those guys as well that he's just absolutely buzzing right now because there's hype around him. He's getting in the big fights. He's dominating in his fights. I feel at that English title level, and probably the Brad Paul's fight was more a British title level fight. And it's exciting with Tyler, and he'll be out in that Birmingham show we're planning.
Couple of quick updates. Liam Smith, we've seen Chris Eubanks activated his rematch clause, but we've not heard anything else. So we're looking towards a summer day for that in Liverpool, or Manchester.
I think we'll announce that next week. Fingers crossed. Obviously, it's Eubank Jr. We always knew that, assuming Liam Smith wins, that there would be a rematch.
Yeah.
I think it's massive because Eubank Jr. has, for me, no choice and has to win. We talked about must-win fight last time. Eubank Jr. was risking everything and he lost everything.
Yeah.
And he feels there's reasons why some people, the same people that were saying there's no way Liam Smith will knock out Eubank Jr., the same people now saying that Eubank Jr. has got absolutely no chance in this fight. Yeah. So you never know in boxing. We saw that the first fight, so don't tell me the next fight's a formality. You know, a lot of people were confident, don't get me wrong, that Liam Smith would win that first fight, but not in that fashion. Let's see what happens.
Are you surprised at all that Chris has gone down that route? Because we hear a lot of talk about, Conor Ben will be fighting Middle East, and Eddie keeps piping up about the whole, it's still a big fight, Chris Eubank Jr., and he'll make X amount of money. Are you surprised Chris is maybe going back in there with Liam with that, maybe exploring that option?
Well, I think he had a certain amount of period to activate the rematch clause, and he's done so. He will feel that he will feel that this is the right move for him. That he'll probably feel that Conor Ben fight is always there, and probably isn't at its biggest right now. Especially with everything going on with Conor, it feels crazy to even be talking about his fighting, and so him fighting, and probably Chris feels the same way after what happened last time.
Natasha Jonas, a lot of talks about her and the GOAT, Claressa Shields. I mean, for me, what a story. I mean, Natasha, I remember the fight against Terry Harper where you're thinking, wow, I remember thinking, I thought she'd won the fight. Is she ever going to get that moment for a world title? She has a close fight with Katie Taylor. She signs with yourself and she's gone out there and just gone bang, bang, bang like that and picked up world titles. Her and Claressa Shields would be an unbelievable fight. Where are we at with it, Ben? Can we possibly see it this year?
I think you need to speak to Natasha, but I'm close with Natasha. We made her what we felt was a big offer for that fight, something that was way beyond any sort of career purse, way beyond. And it's up to her, and I think she sees. Look, I think it's one for Natasha. You got to speak to her. You got to speak to Joe Gallagher. And you got to understand from them. But a big offer was made. Dimitri Salita said that the other day. It would be interesting to see Claressa come down to 154. And Tasha's shown what she can do there. So look, as a boxing fan, of course, I would love to. But I also would have loved. I would love to see Natasha in any big fights. I'd like to see it in the unification. I'd like to see her against McCaskill, because really 154 isn't her natural weight. So I think it's one for her. You gotta speak to her. She's the boss.
I'll have to speak to Joe and Natasha. Well, look, we're hoping we're getting some big news from that, because obviously Natasha and Claressa. Any chance of the Savannah Marshall rematch? Has that been explored at all? I
think next week we will know. And again, I think that whole Shields Marshall Jonas thing will be clear next week, and we're due to announce a big schedule for ourselves for April, May, June, and I think they'll be involved.
Any new signings?
I don't know. At this stage, I don't know. Oh, it's funny, man. Maybe. Look, I think we feel we're trying to build from the ground up with the Olympians and with fighters that we want to be headliners in 2 years, and that is the focus. But when opportunities come available with free agents, of course we're going to be interested. But let's see.
Ben Shalom, thanks for talking to Boxing Social. We look forward to what's going to be a raucous atmosphere tonight in Paris with a sold out 7,000 there. Let's go, appreciate your time.
Top man, and thank you for being here as well.